Hi YouTube, this is Casper2206 here, new YouTuber, believe it or not. This is going to be my review channel. I know there's a lot of them out there, but this one's mine. So, let's get right into it. I just got back from the movie theater and I saw X-Men First Class. I got my X-Men shirt on. Uh, well, I'm just going to say I love this movie. It's the best X-Men movie yet. Um, let's go with a little backstory. First two X-Men movies, directed by Bryan Singer, are awesome movies. Bryan Singer left the X-Men franchise to go direct Superman, and the third movie was picked up by Rush Hour director, I forgot his name. Long story short, the movie sucked. And then they did X-Men Origins Wolverine, or X4. The movie sucked. So Bryan Singer comes back to produce this movie, directed by Matthew Vaughn, who directed Kick-Ass, which I love too. And he basically did what he did with the Superman franchise. He said, look, Superman 1 and 2 are awesome. I want to make a sequel to those awesome movies. Screw 3 and 4, they sucked. I'm not going to include any continuity from those movies. They didn't happen in my mind's eye. I think that's what he did with this one, in my opinion. I think you'll agree with me if you go see this. So I think he basically said, look, the first two are awesome. The Last Stand and Wolverine weren't. So, F them. They didn't happen. I'm going to make a prequel that's a prequel to those two movies that include continuity from those two movies. And I'm going to leave out 3 and 4 like they didn't happen. I think you'll agree with me if you go see this. Two examples I can give you without spoiling anything is Emma Frost is in this movie. Now, this movie takes place, X-Men First Class takes place in the 60s, which is a wink to the fans because X-Men was published in 1963, first issue. So Emma Frost is in this movie, and it's in the 60s. And if you saw Wolverine, you know Emma Frost was at the end of Wolverine. It probably took place 20 years later, so obviously that didn't happen. Another one is in the beginning of X-Men 3. We see a younger Magneto and Professor Xavier, 20 years younger, go try to recruit Jean Grey. And if you watch this movie, you know that didn't happen either. So, if you're going to go see this movie, if you're a fan of the first two movies or a fan of the comics, delete 3 and Wolverine from your head, because they didn't happen. I am a fan of the comics. X-Men is by far my favorite comic, and I like the first two movies. I have no problem. They do take some liberties in this movie as well, like they did with all the X-Men movies, because Fox just does that. But I have no problem accepting comic book movies in their own world. I know they can't all be sincere. They can't all adapt the book. I think almost every comic book movie takes the liberties, and I try to accept that as much as possible. I try not to say like, well, that didn't happen in the book, and well, he didn't have that in the book. Although I do have one pet peeve with the X-Men movies is that no one has their international accents. One thing I always loved about the X-Men is, Colossus is from Russia and Storm's from Africa and he's from here and she's from there, and they didn't do that in the X-Men movies, which kind of bums me out still. But I can get over that when I'm watching them at the moment. So, let's get into X-Men First Class. Now, let's start off with the plot. The plot's very simple. It's the creation of the X-Men. And, of course, there's a story on why they do that. But that's basically it. X-Men First Class is they recruit the first X-Men, and that's it. And of course, action scenes ensue with mutants, and it's awesome. Not much to it other than that. The story's a little bit more complicated, but we're going to do the story last. Take up a little bit more time. Let's get into the characters. Now, there's a lot of characters in this movie, obviously, but we're going to just do the main characters, the protagonists, and the antagonists. The ones from the comics, basically. So, we got the X-Men, Charles Xavier, played by James McAvoy in this one. Of course, you know him as Mr. Thomas from the Narnia movie, or Wanted, I guess. But awesome as Professor Xavier. Of course, much younger than Patrick Stewart was, but he's still the same character, and you can tell that. And he owns the character. He's a little bit more naive because he's a lot younger, but he still has the same ambitions, the same ideals, and just, he's Professor Xavier, and he's quite awesome. He does keep his British accent, which is a little bit thicker than Patrick Stewart's, but he's such a good actor and he owns the role so well that I forgave it within like 10 seconds. So there's him. Michael Fassbender as Magneto. Now I'm not going to do all the names of the actors because that'll take up too much time, so I'm just going to do these two. And so Michael Fassbender is Magneto. Awesome. He owns the character, and I don't want to say I don't want to spoil anything, but he owns the character. You totally see him. He becomes Magneto. He thinks the way Magneto should think, and he does what Magneto does, and he talks the way Magneto talks to like talking to Charles. He's very upfront. And then we have I can't remember her name is Mystique. I'm sorry, but she is quite good as Mystique. Um, Let me pull up IMDb. I didn't think she was going to be good for some reason, but she was, and she's great, and she's kind of the third main protagonist of the movie in a weird way. And she's her character is very in the middle of Charles' point of view and Magneto's point of view, um, which is cool. It's cool to have that. Jennifer Lawrence is her name. I'm sorry, there we go. But that's the last name I'll do. Jennifer Lawrence, great actress. Really quite beautiful. She really filled out the makeup, if you know what I mean. And there are a lot of winks to the previous two movies, which is quite awesome with all the characters. So, she's really good, and she's very in the middle of, she understands where Charles is coming from, she understands where Magneto's coming from, but she, of course, has her own feelings. And then we got the other X-Men. We got, Beast, my favorite X-Men of all, which it was kind of hard to watch, a new Beast, because I liked Kelsey Grammer so much as Beast. So, this kid who's playing Beast, I don't know his name, awesome. He's a British actor, but you wouldn't know. I had no clue. But quite awesome. He's very he pulls off the intelligence Beast has when he's talking very well. And then when of course when he the physical part of Beast when he becomes Beast really, and even when he's just himself, it looks really cool. The CGI, the makeup, it all looks really cool. And of course he fights, and that looks awesome too. I always love the way Beast fights. Kind of fights like a gorilla and like a wolf mixed. If a gorilla and a wolf, if you could interbreed them, that's what Beast fights like, which is cool. So Beast was really awesome. Banshee was probably my favorite looking character in the whole movie, because everyone has that yellow and blue X-Men suit in this movie that you've seen in the trailers and the original comics, but Banshee's always had that costume. He never really changed it. So when the actor's in that costume with the wings and he's doing the sonic scream, and he looks bad, and he has some cool scenes in the movie, and he is cool and badass. We got Havoc, Alex Summers, again, really good actor. The power looked awesome. He kind of has Cyclops' power, but it doesn't come out of his eyes, it comes out of his body. But it's his power is more like a heat blast, except in Cyclops' is more like a force blast, which they kind of F that up in Wolverine, but that didn't exist. So that's he looks really cool. His power looks really cool. Good actor. He has a couple funny one-liners, which is cool. He's kind of mouthy to the other X-Men, which is funny. Um, and he has for you comic book fans, he has the logo on his chest, the Havoc logo, and the suit, the containment suit for his power. And they do explain why that he has that, and they do it well. They don't give too much information. It's not long, it's not drawn, it's not boredom. They do that extremely well. So then there's the Beast, Havoc, Banshee, Mystique I did, and then we have Darwin. He's a newer comic book character. I think it was 2006 he was introduced, and he can adapt to any environment, any situation, which comes in really handy, and it looks pretty cool as well. Um, he's submerged in the water. He grows gills. That's pretty cool. He turns into Aquaman all of a sudden. And then we had Angel Salvador, which is another new mutant from 2003, I believe she was introduced, and she basically has insect wings and she can fly. That's one nitpick I have with this movie. It's not a perfect movie. I have nitpicks. Is that they code named her Angel because her name is Angel Salvador, and that's kind of a wink to the fans because Angel was an original X-Men. I thought that was really lame because I love Angel and she has freaking bug wings. Who cares? But it was Lenny Kravitz's daughter playing her. I forgot her real name, something Kravitz. But she was a good actress. You know, she was good. So there you go. The bad guys. Do I have time? Okay, bad guys. Now, if you're like me, you were very bummed with the other movies because it's just Magneto, Magneto, Magneto. There was no Apocalypse, no Sinister, no Sentinels. In this movie, we get the Hellfire Club. Yes, Hellfire Club, awesome. So we got Sebastian Shaw, played by Kevin Bacon. Awesome villain. He's very sinister. He's very evil. He's very cunning. I think Kevin Bacon plays a really good bad guy, and he did in Hollow Man back a couple years, many years ago. But he was a really good bad guy, and he really looked the part, and you could tell he was having fun. And he's a good actor on top of that, and it was quite cool and quite awesome. And then we got January Jones as Emma Frost. Of course, you can't have the Hellfire Club without Emma Frost, the White Queen. Now, January Jones, if you guys watch Mad Men, she's in that. She's an okay actress. Um, she did a lot better than I thought she was gonna. She was believable, just nothing great, but good. And she looked pretty good, and she had the Emma Frost outfits, or lack of outfits, we should say. Um, and she was quite hot. Not as hot. I think Emma Frost should be hotter, but she was hot. I think Emma Frost from the Generation X made-for-TV movie was hotter, but I digress. Uh, but they do her power. She has the diamond skin, which looks awesome CGI, and she does her telepathy, which they actually show what her telepathy looks like they would in the cartoons or something, and that looks cool too. So she was pretty good, not bad, not great, but not pretty good, pretty good. And then we got Riptide, who is a Hellfire Club member, and he can make twisters, and he can spin his body into a twister, and he comes in really helpful in the movie as the bad guy, messing people up with that power, and it looked cool. It looked pretty cool. And then we got Azel. Azel, I think I'm saying that right. Azel is Nightcrawler's father. Nightcrawler's from the second movie, except he's red. He's not blue. He's red, but he has the same tail and agility and vamping. He can teleport, and it looks the same, except it's red smoke, not black smoke. And he has a sword, which I think that's kind of a wink to the fans as well, because Nightcrawler always had a sword, and that's how he fought. So those are the antagonists of the movie. And of course, there's a lot more characters, but those are the main X-Men characters that the comic book fans are going to see. As you can tell from the cast or from the group of characters, they do take a lot of liberties. It's not just like the first class comics, but like I said, I try to just accept the movies for what they are. So please stay tuned for part 2 of my X-Men review.